Attention, you marketers. You're all familiar with Facebook advertising and Google marketing, but are you familiar with geofencing? That's what we're going to talk about today with my special guest, John Reams. How do I bring my faith to work? How do I tap into the power of God in my work-life call? Why am I going through this adversity? Is God mad at me? I'm Oz Hillman, and I've been helping leaders like you answer these questions and more for over 30 years. That's what this podcast is all about. Let's learn and grow together. Welcome to TGIF, Today God is First. Well, welcome everybody to this week's TGIF at Work podcast. I'm delighted to have a good friend that I've known about a year and maybe going on a year and a half, but he's been a subscriber for years and friend to our ministry. And John is in the marketing area, and we have some common interests there. John Reams, he spells it Jon, leaves out the H. John is from Franklin, Tennessee, and do you play the guitar, John? Don't you have to do that to be able to live there?
I do have a few guitars. The interesting thing is they're all autographed, but nothing. But I do not play a tune, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's just outside of Nashville, and John has been one of my one-to-one coaching clients, and so we've gotten to know each other through that. And John is in the marketing area, and so today's session is going to be those of you who use marketing and especially online marketing to drive sales or leads for your company. So today we're going to talk about a topic that maybe some of you may not be familiar with. We're all familiar with Facebook advertising and Google ads and email and all of that, and using our websites to market. But I wonder if you've ever heard the term geofencing. Geofencing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. John is a specialist in that area and works with corporations who want to drive sales and leads in a very different way. And so, John, tell us a little bit of background on you, how you got into this, and then what is geofencing?
Thank you, Oz, and thank you all for attending. It's a great opportunity, and just thankful for it. So, yeah, it's interesting. I grew up in a family owning small businesses. We had a retail store and a manufacturing facility, and I was constantly trying to rack my brain around how to market those businesses and how to reach people. And so it was very intriguing to me, but I was confused often and tried a lot of different things. And so I wanted to really learn more about marketing and how to help local businesses, small businesses, and so forth with the challenges that I experienced. And so that led into one faith journey after another, which was wonderful, at the time, daunting and challenging as well. But I got into the broadcast industry and mass media, started out in radio as a marketing director in Nashville, over 5 brands, and learned a lot of various marketing techniques, utilizing those platforms for a variety of audiences that listen to those stations, from talk radio to AC stations and so forth. And then stepped into television. And the interesting thing is right about the time I was stepping from radio to TV, this internet thing was starting to come around, and each station had their own website, but they didn't exactly know what to do with them. And so I was tasked with, John, we need to figure out a way to market our websites and generate revenue off of those websites. And so that's where I came into play and really honed my skills, and then continued to grow in the television industry, and specifically then on the digital arm of that, and worked for digital companies, even at the national level, and handled some national campaigns for a lot of big brands that really helped me understand more about how to really run effective digital campaigns, and did that for the longest time, and challenged in many ways as a Christian in some environments and ways, and trying to be a leader in those. But I stepped out on my own about 4 years ago, utilizing all the technology pieces and access, and started a Nice Guy Marketing, and have been just so grateful to be able to share that, and how specifically this geofencing technology can benefit businesses and business owners.
Yeah. So geofencing is probably a term many people just don't know what that is. So
Right.
take us down the journey with that.
Absolutely. It's something you may have either heard of, or if you've never heard of it, but it is always a question. And I completely understand that. Basically, geofencing is utilizing GPS technology. So the global positioning system, the GPS that emits from your phone, from a mobile device. And as you can imagine, most everyone, especially in the United States, has access to some type of mobile device. The numbers are almost not quite to 100%, but certainly there is a lot of access to a device. And that was a key piece of this, is you needed to have adoption of devices. People had to have them. And so what happens is that GPS signal that uses the location of your phone, which most of us leave on for certain specific apps. Some will turn them off. Some do not have those on, but at some point in time, we use it for a weather app, for example, so that I know precisely if there is weather coming my way. And so, or a navigation app, I need specific location tied to my phone. And so the GPS signal basically captures that device and tracks that, just like my daughter runs cross country, and she has a device on her wrist, and that tracks how far she ran and how fast, and so forth. And so we utilize this technology, and basically what it allows us to do is that device that is captured, if you will, that's part of that, and utilizing that GPS signal then allows us to serve ads in a way where it's not like it's invasive and taking over your phone or anything like that. It's as you are using an app that has ads on it, like a weather app or a news app or something else, then the ad can display alongside the content in that kind of banner form that sits there, and then that will allow us to track and serve those to the right audience based on your location.
And that ad can be hot linked, right? So it can actually take them somewhere on their phone while they're on their phone, right?
Absolutely.
And you're
Absolutely.
able,
So
and you're able to track that response through a system as well, right?
correct. It's the neat piece of the geofencing that is very unique to it from other methods of marketing. Not only can you track someone that clicks on the ad and then visits your website, which is important. You want to get traffic to your website. But another key piece that works well with a variety of industries is we can also track foot traffic. So we can also track if that device then, after seeing that marketing message, then arrives at a location. So if you were geofencing a competitor, for example, I do this with a cosmetic dentist, that often people get second opinions. And so you go in, you get a estimate, you get a feel for the place, and I have put a geofence around that location. When you exit that location, then you start seeing ads from this other, which is my client and a competitor, and they start seeing ads and they go, I want to check this place out because I'm about to invest $20,000, in a cosmetic procedure here. And I want to make sure I'm getting, the best offer or opportunity. And I'm able to track those that then walk in after that marketing message has been delivered into my client's location.
So what's the technology in the back office of that? How do you actually, what are some of the technical aspects of how this is done?
Yes, and I appreciate you asking that, because sometimes too, as I explain this to people, I get different reactions, and some are a little creeped out, or like, "Whoa, is this legal? Are we allowed to do this? How does this work?" Because privacy is very important, and it has come at the forefront here in the most recent year or two. the beauty of this is that all of this is compliant even beyond with what we have in the United States, and some even tighter regulations than that, because it is global. So the technology piece is what happens is that location, kind of behind the scenes, you have a variety of apps on your phone. Some have one or two, some have 50, that you utilize. And when you download an app, part of that app and piece of that is that tracking can be in place, or you can turn it off, or you can adjust it and so forth. But it allows for ads to run. So the technology, it grabs that device ID. I never see it because I don't want to know or be able to track in any way who the person is. It is purely, hey, this person was in a location that was important to me, and that's what I'm able to track. So it pulls all of these addresses together, if you will, of all these devices. And then with these apps, they all have ad placement that can run. And so it allows me to go, okay, I want to reach the person that was in such and such location last week, and I want to reach them about 3 times a day while they're in an app that has an ad that can run there in that app, and reach them at about 3 times a day. I don't want to serve them just a ton of ads, and none of us like seeing that, where we're seeing over and over and over again and you get kind of burnout. I want to just effectively reach them and let them know, kind of in a subtle way, but a very effective and pinpointed way. And then
is the phone the only place where they see ads?
No, thank you for asking that. So the phone is the first place. That's the start, because that has the GPS signal. Now, an iPad or any tablet that has GPS in it, that could also be captured as well. That device could be. But what happens is once the phone, for example, is part of an audience, then what the system does on the backside is it goes through and does what's called cross-device matching. It says, okay, this unique device is registered to John Reams. Again, I don't know any of this. This is just the system on the back end recognizes this. And then it says, John also has a laptop. John also has a smart connected TV in his living room. That's all these things that are registered to me. And so then what happens is I'm able to run ads on any other device that's associated with the origination point of the person that owns that device. So in my case, if I had a tablet, I have a desktop computer, and I also have a smart TV, then I would be reachable with ads, whether that's a display type kind of banner ad that could run, or even television commercials while I'm watching streaming content on my large screen TV.
What technology are you using to get that information and send and publish an ad to that device?
So the broad stroke is called programmatic. This is programmatic advertising, and that's different from other methods that are out there. And so I use a platform called Simplify. There are a few out there, but Simplify, based with my access that I have into that platform, it allows me to get access into the auction, if you will. So what happens in all behind the scenes is we have an audience that was in a particular location, and I want to reach them, but there's an auction that goes on behind the scenes where I'm bidding basically programmatically, meaning, through computer programs in milliseconds to reach that person at the most effective price and win that bid basically, so that I can serve that ad onto those devices. And so the uniqueness of this that's separate, like Facebook, for example, has a purpose and it's very efficient, but it's within just Facebook. And Facebook has all of its algorithms of what they like to see and what they don't like, and they regulate that in their own system. And so you have to follow those guidelines. Google is the same way. Google's its own network. This runs beyond those networks. It does not run inside those networks. It's beyond those, which is a great tool to where we can run these things and these ads in ways where we're not having Google and others just kind of saying, oh, I like that because it matches this. No, it's purely based on the programmatic ad and what you bid and running it in those ways. And so you can effectively reach people and reach just the audience you want to reach. That's the key piece to this, is it targets down to just the audience that is likely to want to receive this ad. Whereas other mediums that you use out there kind of broadly reaches people, and you hope that there's a part of that audience that's interested.
Interesting. So you have targeted different industries that use this, and I believe you've got something to show us on maybe the landscape that you are using to reach different industries and serving different industries.
Yeah, I'd like to share kind of a deck that shows some ideal industries and gives you an idea of how this could benefit, depending on if you're in some of these industries and what has worked well.
All right.
So what you'll notice here is some of the ideal industries that this works very well is hospitals, urgent cares. You have in hospitals, you have different service lines. So, and one thing to keep in mind with this is all compliant beyond anything that's even in the United States. It's the compliance is GDPR, and basically that is something that was established in Europe that is the tightest, has the tightest restrictions globally, and so we adhere to privacy laws and everything that are the most stringent, more stringent than what are even in the United States. So any of the new things that are out there, this has passed through. For example, with hospitals, HIPAA compliant is so important with privacy and so forth. And so this has been vetted by legal teams at major hospitals. Banks is another area what is very secure sites, and they're always concerned about privacy, understandably. And it has all been passed through legal teams and looked at and vetted. And so just know in confidence, this is a marketing tool that you could utilize that has been well vetted in all industries and is in great adherence to any laws or anything that are out there. So hospitals, go ahead.
Well, I'm looking at this cell phone, and it looks like the person probably was looking at the weather, and there's an ad that popped up, right?
Right.
That would be an ad that you would place there. And if the customer wanted to, or the user of their cell phone wanted to learn more about that, they would click on that ad. Simple as that, right?
As simple as that. And this is and a great example of using this with the YMCA. So this was one where in the area here, about 15 locations, and they wanted to reach people for membership. Well, you can do a couple of different things that we did that worked very well and tracked a huge return on their investment for their membership drives. And so they would geofence locations that were competitors, that might be other fitness facilities that people would subscribe to that might want to consider the Y instead. And so when they were in those other locations, we put fences around all of those other fitness facilities within their areas. And then we were able to track how many people went and signed up for new memberships. Also, how many people walked into one of those YMCA locations as a conversion fence. So we could track by day how many people visited each location after seeing the ads. And it was a huge success. And this is exactly what would happen. They were in a competitor location and another fitness facility. And after they exited that facility, they were just looking and checking out the weather. This ad would populate on their phone, and it would be there just as they're checking the weather. And as a result of that, whether or not they click on the ad, we're able to track the success. A lot of people don't click on the ad. They see the ad and they see it over and over again. So you're continually branding yourself to a very specific audience that you want to reach. And then often they will go and search online and find your page or call you. And then others will obviously click on the ad as well.
So I'm sure that many people are wondering, okay, what's the cost of a program like this, and how long does it need to run to be effective?
And the cost is really based upon how much audience you want to reach, because the way that it works is, as with most advertising, you want to make sure that you're reaching the audience you want to reach, but you're reaching them effectively. There's kind of a frequency out there of, you just think about how many ads every day that you see or that you're exposed to messaging, from online to driving around town to television or radio or anywhere, of what you might be seeing. And so you want to break through that and make sure that your message is seen enough to where you have recall. And so I'm able to go through and say, okay, this is the audience you want to reach. And that's part of the strategy. And what I love doing for folks is really getting in there and saying, okay, what's your goal? Who ideally do you want to reach? And when we know exactly, not just, oh, well, I just want to reach anybody, well, no, who would be an ideal customer, an ideal client of yours? And then we can hone in and specifically reach that person, but we want to do it often enough. And so then that's where it comes into, well, how many ads do we need to serve? And that's where the cost then comes in. And so generally speaking, kind of the benchmark is at a very entry level, you're typically looking at about $500 a month. And then it goes up from there, depending on how large an area you're wanting to cover or how many people that you're wanting to reach. But the key to this, and you asked this question, is how long? And with this type of marketing, it is one where you are doing a good deal branding. And so you're making some branding and awareness. Some people may not be aware of your services or your product. So you need to make them aware of that. Well, that takes a little bit of time to get that buying cycle going before they actually would react and respond to the ad. So I recommend a minimum of 3 months. So with whatever investment amount, always keeping in mind, I need to do this for at least 3 months. And really you start to see the results from that 3 month to 6 month. And then beyond is where everything starts to really optimize and run on kind of full cylinders. You'll see results earlier, but that's where the ideal spot is.
I think of so many industries. I'd like to throw out a few industries to you and hear how you would approach trying to reach the target audience. Let's take real estate, for instance. And let's say that we want to reach people that are wanting to sell their home. How would you approach that?
I just had a call yesterday about that. And there is data that I have available that shows that there is an audience that is likely to be interested and looking, kind of a little more than kicking tires, if you will, that they are interested in the next 90 days to list their home, to sell their home, if you will. We don't know who all that is exactly, but I can drill down. And so for this call I had yesterday, we talked about, and I can do that by zip code. So we could say within a particular zip code, I can tell you how many people are showing interest in listing their home in the next 90 days. And the way that the data works on that is it's saying, okay, this address has filled out some type of form online that indicates they're looking to potentially sell. They may have downloaded a white paper of some kind on key tips to sell your house. What's my home worth? And various triggers that would put them in an audience to say, hey, they're very likely. And so if you can reach an audience that is thinking about before it gets to the market, before it gets to anyone else, that's a game changer for a lot of folks in the real estate industry.
Let's say that you're a local church and you want to target Christians within a 5-mile radius of your local church. How would you do that?
So in the last year, I have been really testing this because this has been a real passion of mine to utilize this technology for kingdom work. And so I've been running multiple campaigns in various places around the country, just doing this. So what we do is we geofence. For example, I have a campaign running right now down in Florida, and it is geofencing several subdivisions within a 5-mile radius around the church building that we're doing this for. And they've had a summer series going on of different lessons each week that kind of tie into some cultural things that are going on in the world today and kind of messaging. And so we have these ads running, and we are able to track each subdivision's activity. You know, this subdivision seems to be showing more interest by looking at the ads, clicking on the ads, and we can even track if they actually visited the actual church at some point, whether it was a Sunday or another day of the week. And that lets them know, hey, this is an area we might need to pay attention to, and do we have others that live in that subdivision that maybe can evangelize or reach out? And it just lets them know too, what messages are resonating with our community that's right here in our backyard.
Yeah. Can you share a case study with us where this has really been successful in driving their sales?
Yeah. So, for example, I have a cosmetic dentist I mentioned. So someone who's in a specialty category that he has very specific audience that he wants to reach. And the way that we've done that is to geofence competing locations. And because it is one where you're investing a good bit of money, you want to make sure it's the right place that you go. And so we have geofenced all these competing locations. And then when they exit that location, they start seeing ads for the next 30 days. And the way that it's worked so well, we run video as well as, and those videos are testimonial videos of clients that have had great success. And also a video from the doctor himself, just sharing his philosophy and who he is so that you get a feel for this doctor. And then it offers a special offer when you land on his website. And we track all of that activity. And then we track how many then we're in a competing location from well over an hour, in some cases, an hour and a half away from his location that are coming in. And we can track back to the day that they visited. And then he can match up and say, we don't know who the person is, but we can say last Tuesday, such and such, there was a person that came in that had been in this location an hour away. And so he can track and in most cases say, there was actually a new patient that came in for a consult. And it's been a huge return for him, somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 to 15 to 1 return on his investment. And we've been doing that for well over 2 years.
So if I get this right, you could identify people based on their behaviors of where they're visiting. Like if somebody goes into a local car dealer, you could identify that person and send ads to him about other cars, since you know they probably went there to check out a car, right?
Correct. I can fence specific areas of the car lot. So if you have a brand that has 3 different brands and you just want one particular brand, I can just fence that lot of those brands. Or I can fence just the building, the sales office, of it, to say, hey, these actually, you probably don't want that because they've walked in the building at that point. But yes, I can go in, it's been interesting, and I don't, not everything is exact. There's a variance with the geofencing of somewhere between 15 to 30 feet or so of where you place that fence. And so I try to, if it's in a strip center or an area where there's a lot of other population traveling around, I try to make it a very tight fence so that it is reaching just that audience. But I've even geofenced of trade shows and put a fence just around a particular area of a trade show where maybe your competitor had a booth and you weren't there, but you wanted to track the people who walked near their booth and then remarket to them. And it's an effective way to do that if you weren't at that trade show. And I've done this for everything from medical industries like St. Jude's Hospital, reaching data scientists to, just other brands that are out there, just trying to reach people in that way.
Awesome. Well, this is fascinating technology, and I know that many of our people watching and listening will find this of interest. So, John, how can people learn more about this? You've got a website that is anicemarketing.com, and I believe you've got some options for people to go there to learn more about this.
Yes. So if you go to my website, aniceguymarketing.com, and you will see on a page there specifically geofencing. Just there's a tab, and you can also, if you want to, read about me, you're welcome to do that. But I recommend you just go to the geofencing page and read the article. You'll see a video. It's an explainer video that I tried to produce to try to help answer the question, give examples of how this technology works. And then you'll see near the bottom of the page is a contact us. And you can just simply go in there. That comes to me directly, doesn't go to anyone else. And it comes to me, and I will send you, I can do a couple of things for you. One, I can send you kind of a deck that goes through different techniques that can benefit you with geofencing. I'm also happy to provide to you at no charge kind of a estimate. If you said, hey, I'm just curious, how many people of this audience, for example, if you're a veterinary office and I want to know how many people are dog owners in these zip codes that are around my vet office, I can pull that data for you and tell you. And then if you want to do anything with that, I'm happy to help. I'm very low key about it, and just here to help serve in any way I can.
Awesome. Well, it's called geofencing, and if you're in marketing, this needs to be part of your process. So, John, we appreciate you sharing this today, and I just see so many applications for this concept, and so just check him out, check his website out, check out that resource, and I can tell you, John's a servant kingdom leader, so he'll help you in any way he can. So, any final comments there, John?
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and truly, I love trying to figure out solutions, and I try to do that in a way that is efficient, and really I got into this so that I could help businesses grow, and because that's where I was several years ago, and just trying to understand. And so if I can help serve in that way, it'd be an honor. So thank you.
Well, target marketing has come a long way in the last 20 years. I remember in the 1980s where I had my direct response ad agency, and we did direct mail for American Express green card for travel. I also served a large retailer, and it was really one of the first ways of trying to reach a customer based on their buying habits. And we had to do this through the purchasing activity with their credit cards and so forth. And we didn't have internet then, and so that was kind of the beginning of that target marketing. If you're ever watching Facebook or whatever and see an ad pop up that relates to your interest, you're being targeted.
Yes.
So Anyway, I hope this is helpful for you. And John, thanks for being on with us. And God bless you guys for being with us today. Take care.
Let's face it, we all want to make a difference. We want to live for Christ. We want our work to have meaning deep down. We all want to live a larger story to make a difference in the world. But how do we do this? It doesn't just happen. We must invest in our spiritual and professional life that involves spiritual mentoring and training. But where do we go to get that kind of spiritual mentoring and professional training? Is it at church, a conference, a school? The Change Agent Master Mentor Program is the answer to that question, founded by Os Hillman. He is a pioneer in marketplace ministry and has had a 40-year advertising and business career, working with clients like American Express, Steinway Pianos, Thomas Nelson Publishers, and a host of other successful companies. He understands the challenge of living for Christ in a pressure-packed business environment. He created the Change Agent Master Mentor Program to help leaders. Os will help you realize your dream of being successful in your career and having an influence on your world. The Change Agent Master Mentor Program is designed for you to realize your larger story, to understand your purpose, to learn and apply your faith life to your work life from Os and other proven workspace leaders who are doing it. Our online course and group mentoring will help you become God's change agent, to be a cultural influencer and succeed in your work-life call, and grow in your relationship with God and with other members of the Change Agent Master Mentor Program. Come join us. Let's influence the world together. www.camastermentor.com